evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2. This is the Board Talkers podcast. And for anyone that was listening to episode 1 last week, this is not a podcast. This is not a podcast. This is a Board Talkers podcast.
We've changed it.
I've had to bring it up a level, man. Also, 26.2 miles in a marathon. That's for everyone who's a marathon fan. And we also have 5 indoor slopes in England. That's something. But also there's one in Scotland which is now permanently closed. So, although I said 5 last week, yeah, well, I think we're right now. So,
sure?
yeah, I think so, man. So, how the hell are you doing, James?
Mate, I'm very good. I've got 3 weeks until the marathon, so I did 25 kilometers yesterday. Felt really good, felt really strong. Woke up today, I can walk, That's important. So yeah, I'm feeling good, mate. Had a good weekend.
Amazing.
Everything's cool, man. And you?
Yeah, really good.
Weekend?
Really good week, really good weekend. I feel tired, but it's a good tired. It's like I've done a lot this week. I just randomly came out with 2 new business ideas, so I'm just looking into those, researching it, doing a lot of like working out the costs and things like that. So yeah, that's good. Keeping me busy, keeping me out of trouble. Really good. A weird snowboarding session on Thursday, but we'll go into that.
Anything you can share about these businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I've got an office, and I wanted to do something different with it. Just more revenue, more income, more different revenue streams. So that's as much as I can say right now. It's just reusing a space to like earn more money. But another business idea is just looking at more properties to look into buying. Either rent them out
in Norway,
or probably the UK, maybe Norway. I don't know yet. Just looking into different avenues, different things here and there. So yeah. So that was the week. Yesterday.
How different is it buying a property in Norway and buying one in England? Is it
This is amazing. In England, I'm not sure about Scotland. But in England, you're talking anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks to buy a house. You generally go for a viewing, put an offer in, then it gets handed over to your solicitor to do all of that stuff. But they do a lot of paperwork. Everything is done on the fly. They do a lot of research, speak to the council. It's slow. It's very slow. So that's why, minimum 6 weeks. My house that I bought, 8 weeks. I think maybe even 10 weeks. So it was a long time. Norway, 2 weeks. And that was only because I said I can't make it on this date, so it probably could have been the week after. It's that quick. And the reason they do that is they do everything beforehand. Before it even goes on the market, they've done all the paperwork, they've done the research, they've done everything. They've got everything ready. They've done like a full site survey, they've done like a damage report, full report, what needs repairing, how much it might cost. Everything before you've even spoken to the real estate agent. And then it's a case of, you can spend millions of kroner over text message. It's that easy as well. So you sign up to say, I'm interested in this, and you go into a bidding war with the real estate agent and say, I want this bid, but I want X, Y, Z with it as well. And then another person might say, I want this bid, but this, and it just keeps going like that over text message. It's crazy. And then when you've agreed, that's it. It's done. You're officially legally binding at that point because you've already done all your background checks before you've even put a bid down. So it's all done. And then it's a case of, okay, thanks, right, we've got your money. So
it's only the negotiation part then that you're really doing.
Yeah. It's the viewings that take time, which rightly so. You want to check everything out, but also everything's done so much before you've even got to that point. So once you've put your money down, it's transferred. There's a third party that usually transfers the money between yourself, the real estate agent, and the seller. And then after that point, crazy. It's when do you want to move in? What date do you want? So yeah, the house I bought is like, okay, 2 weeks. Yeah, all right, fine. So yeah, it's so much easier.
Wow, it's cool, that, man.
Yeah.
How far away are you from any kind of slopes and stuff like that?
Oh man, I'm Oslo. So there's about 10 or so resorts all around Oslo, within sort of an hour's drive. It's not all of them are massive, you know. They're just a few runs, but some of them are quite good size. Lillehammer's 2-3 hours away, maybe. That's quite a big one. Kvitvel, that is about 3-4 hours away drive. No, Lillehammer's probably a bit closer actually. Yeah, there's so many. So where I am, I try and use public transport as much as possible, work while I'm moving around. Everywhere I can go, you know, the main resort within 2 hours, other resorts within an hour. There's one up and down the road. So yeah, it's what they do. It's what they do over there, man. So
big difference. Yeah, that's really cool. So do you have a specific favorite one that you go to? Like
right now is the one near Oslo, and that's just simply because I can literally get on a plane straight across there, and you know I'm there. I even took my snowboard bag this season. Got changed in the central train station, just went straight to the resort, straight from the plane. It's like yeah, it's just so yeah, fine, okay. But that was I don't think I'd do that again. Now I've got a house anyway, so you know it's quite accessible to do that. My favorite.
I was going to say, for anyone that's like listening or watching, how much does all that kind of cost?
Oh
it,
man,
you know, the flight and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you fly from. Manchester's maybe about £200 there back. Peak season maybe 300. It's that.
Not too bad.
No, not too bad at all. The ski resorts, I'm a member of the one near Oslo, and it's £20 a month at the moment, and that's Monday to Sunday from 8 o'clock till about 10 o'clock at night, all month for £20. Whereas your lift passes at a normal resort, you know, go to Switzerland or Austria or anything like that, you're talking £60 a day. So that's why I got a membership over there. I'd say my favourite resort in Norway is a place called Geilo. It's bang smack in the middle of, in between Bergen and Oslo. So right in between that line, it's right in the middle. And there's a train that runs in between Bergen and Oslo, and it's halfway. So it's absolutely perfect. Small resort, no queues. Parks, plenty of jumps, plenty of rails. There's loads to do there. Everyone's so nice, so welcoming. So, yeah, that's definitely my favourite one. But it's not that big, so you can get quite bored quite quickly, I think.
Sure.
But it's definitely, you can do like every run in about 2 days. So, but yeah, that's and I don't have weird days when I go there.
Man, you were saying at the start, what happened this week?
I never have weird days when I go away. I don't know. So us regulars, we go snowboarding every week, and we have a good park out. This is at my local in Yorkshire, and it's good, really good. Just now and again, something will be off. I don't know, maybe like the main park builder guy's off, or there's some damage to the building, or there's something's changed, or there's something on. This week, same routine. So episode 1, listen to that, folks. I talked about the routine that I have from the moment I leave or get ready in my house to when I get there. One thing that was different is they put a sign out that said there is some damage to the roof. We've spoken to the landlords and blah 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 blah. So you're reading that before you've even walked into the slope, and so that's just preying on your mind. Not even like consciously, it's just there. So it's like before I even got on the snow, it's like there's something different. There was a kicker out, which had been built like more of a quarter pipe, instead of it being a nice curve, nice takeoff. It was like a fucking quarter pipe. So you're taking off up here, and the first time I did it, I thought I'd take it steady because I've seen a few people flying, and I still went flying, land on my side, and it was all right. But yeah, it was weird. There was I'd say what they call a rookie kicker, you know, for like just learning learning jumps on. Newbies tend to use it. I use it quite a lot actually, just trying new things, new tricks. It was weird. It just didn't look right. It had a flat top in it, and it was just a bit of a lump in the snow. So that was strange. Just an odd night. But then,
so did you stop using those kickers and those things?
I didn't do any 360s, and I need to be doing 360s every week to keep the consistency up, keeping the flow, keeping the mind, doing it so it becomes natural. Not one 360. I tried it over the little rookie kicker, but he was so slow. I just barely got anything over it. So I thought, this is not a night for doing 360s. And the kicker, I just wouldn't have had the confidence to bring it down. So it would have sent me up. And I'm doing a 360, and you can probably guarantee my legs will be flapping around up here somewhere while I'm doing a 360, and then I've got to somehow land it. So I thought, I can't. I'm not gonna do that. It was an odd one. It was very strange. I'm not ungrateful.
So what did you do to get out of it?
As a park out,
what did you do?
It was just an odd one. You just focus on other things. I think it's good to have a different park every week. I do think that if you have the same thing every single week, it's not going to progress you. You're going to be stuck in a rut a little bit, and you tend to do the same thing. So it is good sometimes to have variety and change things around. I just focused on rails and just trying a few different things, trying to work on front boards again, because they're always quite difficult for me. And just try a few other things. But yeah, other than that,
didn't you like switch it around or something? You were saying like.
Yeah, I did. I think I did maybe an hour and a half of regular, and I just felt like I'm not really doing more now. I do like a big rail. I was doing that, so that was good. Just doing 50-50s. That's where you go along the rail. Tried a couple of board slides. I even did a couple of half decent board slides in it, and I'm not doing board slides at the minute because I'm focusing on just the rail. If you remember, I mentioned this last week. This was just trying to get that as automatic as possible. Yeah, I thought after an hour and a half, I should have a quick break. Right, I'm just going to ride switch. I haven't actually done switch riding for maybe 3 weeks, I think, which is bad because I wanted to do that every week to keep switch riding as consistent as I do regular. So it took maybe half an hour to get everything comfortable and relaxed again. And then even using that rookie kicker right at the top, trying to do 360s over there, I actually managed to do more decent 360s switch than I did regular. It's bizarre. Again, great advice from some of the crew, just giving us some tips. So, cheers for the guys for that. And it was just good. I think that's good. This is what I meant about variety. And it doesn't matter if it's this, a different part, but riding switch for me is a challenge. It's not comfortable. It's not there.
Chris,
it's not to the same standard.
Sorry to interrupt, man. But this was what we were talking about last week when we were talking about that balance between learning, challenge, and fun.
Yeah.
You've switched it up there, and it's like it's now automatically a challenge, isn't it? So it's like
it's a challenge, but it's fun. It is fun. I love it. I say to everyone when I'm riding switch, I love this because it feels like it's new all over again, and I love it. So I really am enjoying that.
Yeah, so you got a bit of balance there then, didn't you? So you had a bit of fun, but now you're kind of hang on a minute, I've not done this for a few weeks, so I need to get back into it. You got a nice balance between those things there. It's good though.
Yeah, no, I think so. I agree. I think the switch riding is quite basic. Yes, I'm doing 360s and I'll do small rails, but nothing crazy like I'm doing regular. But that'll come with time. It's when I learned regular, and I was doing all these tricks. It took time to get to the level I'm at now. You work on it. So I think there's more switch riding. You just need to do more of that. Definitely need to do more of that.
Yeah, sure. So there's an interesting kind of coaching concept here, because there's normally two two plans that boarders go with. So they either arrive with no plan, you just see what happens, or in the car on the way there, you're kind of making a plan in your mind. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to have a go at this. So there's normally kind of two plans. And what in my experience and in my conversations, what a lot of boarders don't do is plan for the worst. So they don't plan for a weird setup, or you don't plan for something going wrong. And I think that's useful, because it's like, okay, I'm going to arrive there, and what happens if I can't do my plan? What am I going to do? I've already paid. I'm already there. So I now need to kind of, so some people can't think of what to do. Some people.
This is why I like to go with the plan. I mentioned this last week. It's good to go with something to aim for, a goal. And if that goal doesn't work, maybe have a backup goal or a backup plan or something, or maybe you just want to brush up on something. I think it's definitely good to go with a few options, a few ideas, a few things you want to have a go at. Because if you get that one thing and you overdo it and you frustrate yourself, then you're a little bit lost. You find, what do I do now? So,
or you arrive, Chris. You arrive and you can't do that thing that you've planned for. It's like, what am I going to do
this
now?
is it. Yeah. What if I wanted to go for learning 360s, or wanted to work on my 540s with that kicker this week? I wasn't going to be able to do it, so I'd have frustrated myself. Not disappointed that you can't do it for sure, but you need to have options. You need to have alternatives and other things to think of. The conditions aren't always going to be great. When I was in Lax in Switzerland last year, it snowed for 2 days, so we couldn't get on half the parks. You were just running down runs and there's nothing else to do. But I found natural terrain, side hits, or different things to try. Just try and do something. I think having options is definitely a good idea for sure.
How do you kind of like decide on those options then? If you're going to give us a kind of how to, if you're in the car going to Castleford, how do you work that out?
To be honest, I tend to watch a lot of reels, a lot of Instagram stories of some of the snowboarders that I follow, and I get ideas from them. Like, I could do that. I'm trying to think about how to do it, working it out. I could definitely do that. Or an alternative or a version of that or something. So I always go with some kind of plan. I've seen something, I want to try that. Like the weird kicker that I thought was a quarter pipe. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to see if I can do a hand plant, because hand plants are a lot easier with quarter pipes, because it's kind of like you spring up, stick your hand down and go. I mean, I didn't quite get it, but just wanted to have that sensation, that work out how it would feel. So I tried something new just because of the state the kicker was in. I tend to when I'm driving or going to a resort, it's like I'm thinking about different things. I'm actually visualizing it before we even got there. Visualization of before I even get onto the rail or the kicker or whatever, that's different. But actually thinking about what I'm going to do on the way there, that's big as well. It's really important to do.
You check a few reels, get a few ideas beforehand. You go in the car. The car, you kind of work out, right? Maybe you can do this. Maybe you can do that. Yeah. And then when you arrive, you can kind of make a decision. Then kind of, it's like, okay, well, I can't do any of these, but I can do some of these.
Yeah, definitely. I think just keep your mind open. Have a few options. That's definitely the best way to go about it. Yeah. One, touching on the visualization I mentioned there, because of the switch riding, I'm trying to work out the best way of going over this lump of snow whilst remembering how to switch ride and do a 360. I was stood there I was doing this, doing lines. Now I'm going to take this line, maybe. No. But that works so well. Once you've got it in your mind and the lines you're going to do, and you can imagine yourself going over it and doing that works so well. And that helped me get the more confident doing the switch 360. Whereas when I first learned to do 360s, I didn't really know what I was doing at that point. I mean, this is 3 years ago, maybe. I first learned, maybe a bit less. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was only when I started looking more at Snowboard Addiction, fantastic Instagrammer, and he got his own YouTube channel. He's brilliant at sort of breaking down the tricks and sort of showing you how to like approach a feature or whatever it is. But me actually visualizing it, that helped me get the 360 more as it should be. But yeah, the switch on this week and using visualization techniques got me the 360, got me that confidence to get over the lump of snow.
Yeah, it's good though, man. Yeah, it's good. I think you've got a really good visualization kind of like routine, Chris.
Yeah.
You were saying about it last week. I think you've got a nice routine there where you kind of like get your hands out and go through it and stuff. Yeah. It seems to work, that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say, you're going to look a bit weird at the top of the slope.
Many hands might make light work or something like that, wasn't it? But I mean, many hands make snowboarding work. I don't know. Come up with a.
Is anybody watching you while you're at the top of the slope?
Oh, probably.
What's this guy doing?
What the hell is he doing? Is he driving? No. I think they pretty much know what I'm doing because I'm kind of like drawing the line. So I draw the line about how I'm going to approach a feature. So it's pretty obvious what I'm doing, but yeah, it works. It works. It just helps.
It's nice that one.
It helps you stick to your plan. I think is probably the best way of putting that. It's definitely something I recommend other people try. I see people like trying to do tricks, and I'm like, just try. And it sounds weird, but just stand there, close your eyes, and imagine yourself doing that trick. And I say that to quite a lot, but whether they actually do it, I haven't seen them doing it. Whether they actually do it, I don't know. But maybe later on in the night, I'll see them doing the trick. But it works. It really does work. It's definitely a good technique. I'm sure the pros must do it as well.
Oh man, it's used in all kinds of sports. Yeah, it's used in like I'd say 90% of sports. Yeah, you've got to be able to visualize the thing that you're doing, and then your body knows what you're about to do.
Yeah, I was thinking this week, I mean, how does, all of our discussions, how do they relate to other sports? Like, how would it relate to football? How would it relate to F1? Or how would it relate to baseball? Or, tennis? Or how would you, like, take what we've discussed and apply that to a different sport? I think that would be really
well, it's exactly the same, Chris. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Whether it's tennis or football, you're kind of like, well, for example, in football, a lot of players rehearse specific moments in the game. If this happens, then I'm going to do this. And they kind of see moments in the game the night before the game, and then kind of that happens, and they kind of almost program themselves to do that thing that they've seen.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It happens in a lot of sports.
You look at like the number one people in the tennis world, for example. I mean, they're like battling over a few days to compete, but they've got to keep that same consistency and still use their training to get them into that mindset, that focus, to keep at that level for that long. Like Roger Federer, for example, or Rafa, for example. They are at that level for 20 years, whatever it is, 15, 20 years. How do they do that? I mean, there's got to be so much visualization technique going into that, and focus, and getting the mind into that peak performance.
Oh, well, Chris, the easiest example in that kind of era of players is if you take Federer and Nadal and those players, and then you take someone like Andy Murray. And Andy Murray was very much up and down, wasn't he? He'd have a good tournament, he'd have a bad tournament. And you can see the difference in their behaviour on the pitch, where Murray would get very angry with himself.
Yes, he does.
Be very judgmental about what had just happened. And
I used to be.
As soon as he'd do that.
Yeah, I used to be. And I recognise what he's doing and why he does it. It gets him fired up. That anger. Because you see him off the court, and he's the most boring speaking, mundane man you'll ever meet. He's like so opposite to what he is when he's playing tennis. Don't mean boring in.
Well, the point
but he just fires himself. He gets so angry, and then he's just absolutely nailed it. It's
well, I would say the opposite to that, Chris. I'd say once he gets fired up, he loses it for a little bit.
Right.
He's too emotional and he's too judgmental.
Yeah.
And once that dies down, then he gets back into it.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember Federer losing his shit during the game, smashing his racket?
Never.
He just remained like non-judgmental.
Yeah, and Rafa's the same. I think those two are probably the only two modern players that don't break rackets. And Rafa especially, he makes a point of not doing that, because I think when he said when he was growing up, he couldn't afford it, or he doesn't want his the younger kids to see him breaking a racket because they might not be able to afford it. And it's like, what message are you putting across that it's okay to break a racket? For all these people that can't afford to do the sport. So that's one of the reasons he doesn't do it. He just wants to respect it. Those two are going to be a massive loss to the tennis game because of what they brought it to. But you're right, they are so relaxed. I think they have more arguments with the umpires than anything else. Certainly,
the point that you've got to make is, if you've had a run down the slopes and you're super angry and you verbalize that anger and you get super pissed off, well, the first question you've got to ask is, who are you getting angry at?
Yeah.
Who are you actually talking to?
Yeah.
You're getting angry about with yourself about something.
It's a very individual sport. Very individual sport.
And the second thing, Chris, is it doesn't do any good. It's getting angry with yourself does not guarantee that the next time you will perform better. In fact, normally you'd have like a period of time where your performance is like decreasing. Yeah. Once you've got that out of your system, then you start to get better.
I mentioned this last week that I've listened to heavy music before, metal or heavy metal or something, that it just gets me in the wrong mood, the wrong vibe. Like, I'm angry and I'm just like a little bit tense and I'm just not flowing. So I did this for a few weeks and I thought, there's something not right. I've been able to do these tricks for a long time. Why can't I do them now? And it just clicked. It's the music. It's the music that's actually making me not do them as well. Like, it gets me in a different mind frame. It's so bizarre. And this is why I listen to drum and bass, dubstep now, because it's just a background beat. It's there, but it keeps me going. It doesn't get me angry because it's just there.
What do you think would happen if you didn't have any music? If you just went down with no music for an hour?
I have done that. And I know that some snowboarders just like to listen to the snow or the way that the board feels on the rails. Or I don't. It doesn't. Yeah. I'd feel like something was missing. I think for me, music it goes hand in hand with snowboarding, but it always has. I've been snowboarding 20 years, and I've always listened to something or other. So I think it would feel like the snowboarding's missing, or there's something not quite there, or it's not keeping me going. It kind of fuels me in a way, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No.
And if you took that, if you took that away, do you think there would be a difference in your performance?
Yeah.
Do you think you would be?
I think so. I think so. I think there'd be too much noise. I think there'd be too much. I think I'll be thinking too much about the way that everything sounds, like how the snow sounds, how the snowboard sounds. Oh, the bindings are creaking, or the clothes are making a scratching. I'd be listening to that rather than focusing on what I'm actually meant to be doing. It's clearly quite easily distracted, but I think the music helps mute that, quiet that down, so you're only focused on what you're actually doing. It helps me anyway. Definitely works for me.
Well, that's what we were talking about last week, wasn't it? It's instead of having this doubts and fears and insecurities about something, the music kind of distracts you from all of that, where you kind
keeps you focused. Keeps you focused. And you do see a lot of pros with this. They're at the top of a big air, or they're about to do a slope style. Slope style is where you've got a rail feature, jump, anything, that kind of sequence of tricks that you need to do. Big air is usually just one massive big jump. Got to do as many rotations as you can. Half pipe is obviously, as it sounds, half pipe. You're doing multiple runs, but you see them all. Well, most of them anyway. Say that some of that I know that don't listen to anything, but they're just like getting the music ready and they're just like jamming just before they're about to set off. They're about to hit the rail or do whatever it is. They need that that music to get them going. And it works for some people, doesn't work for everyone. But I think for me personally, it keeps me focused. It's like the beat is there, and it's like it's keeping me going. When I'm struggling, like fatigued and so tired, I'll turn the music up, and the louder the music, it's like it's just fired me up even more. So that works as well. The more volume is more energy.
It's like more motivating, more energizing, or more motivating.
Yeah.
And how do you do it, Chris? Do you have a kind of playlist, or is it albums?
Yeah. I touched on this last week. I mean, Pendulum is definitely one of the main ones. But I listen to a lot of Rudimental, Subfocus, Skrillex, that kind of stuff, other bands, and they're all a very similar vein. I think the thing is with Pendulum, there's a lot of touch of rock in there as well, and they'll admit that Pendulum is a drum and bass band, but they're also a rock band at the same time. You know, they have instruments and they actually play it. They're not just pressing buttons. So there's a slight difference between that. They are a band, and I like that. Whereas I sometimes even listen to Avicii. You know, that is in my playlist every week, and sometimes some of his tunes will just get me in the right mood. Not so much the quieter ones. Maybe his hits like Levels or something like that. Something with a lot of energy. You know, it really gets me fired up because it's it's just a good track to sort of get you in the zone, get you fired up, I think.
Yeah, cool. And how often do you mix it up? How often do you go there and listen to something else? Or do you always have are you always listening to the same stuff?
Yeah, I'm very much an Amazon Music. I'll just find a new station, or if I'm hearing the same songs over and over again in the same playlist, I'll go hunting for another one just to have a bit of variety. But again, it's always the same genre of music, but it's just different bands, different artists. Again, it's the beat. It's not particularly the lyrics. It's not particularly the sound. It's just the beat. It's like a heartbeat, I guess. It's like a heartbeat to keep me going. I think maybe the best way of describing it that way. But yeah, if I stick to something too heavy on it, just maybe that's good for, like, you know, just doing a run, just going from top to bottom of a mountain. You're just running down. You're not particularly interested in doing any tricks. You're just having a bit of fun, just going for it. That's probably where it works better for me in that kind of music. But I think for the focus and the getting you properly in the zone, you're about to do these dangerous tricks, that kind of music is definitely what it does for me.
Yeah, sure. With the training that I'm doing at the moment, for about the first 8 kilometers, I listen to something that's a lot of lyrics, a lot of words, right. So some kind of like Britpop or something like that.
Yeah.
And then after that, I start to make it a bit harder, basically. So I got some gangster rap or some I don't know, Rage Against the Machine or something like that. And that like transfers me into the kind of next stage. So the 16 kilometers, the 24 kilometers, 32. So I kind of
break it up into stages. That kind of right. That's interesting.
So I have kind of like Britpop because it's a bit slower. It's not that hard. So I've got to start slow. And then I need to kind of pick up the pace as I go through each 8 kilometers. So what
do you listen to? What kind of artists? Or is it similar to me where it's just, it doesn't matter, it's the beat, or are you more particular about who it is you're listening to?
Yeah, it's got to have words. Yeah, okay. I need words, definitely. So I need something that I'm going to listen. There's the beat, but the words kind of get me motivated, basically. Yeah. So I listen to like a lot of Dre, 50 Cent, Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
I've got Ronnie Size. I've got like a bit of drum and bass as well. Yeah. That's normally in the kind of 32 kilometer like section.
Right. Get you over the line.
yeah. When I've got zero energy and I want to give up, I just like whack a bit of that on. Yeah. And it gets me going. But yeah, I always start slow. And I use some of the songs as a gauge of like my pace, basically. I get to this point, 4 kilometers, and I should be on track number 3 or something like that. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, we don't see professional athletes, runners listening to music. How do they do it? What's their thing?
Well, a lot of coaches and a lot of trainers say that you shouldn't listen to music.
Because
you should be able to do it without the music as like a crutch, basically.
okay,
So
what
you should
okay. Probably delving into completely depths of the mind game there. But what do they do? What do they focus on? Are they just looking for milestones? Are they?
Yeah, in running, yeah. So you've got your. I mean, if you've got your head up,
Yeah.
You release different chemicals in the brain than having your head down. So the first thing you've got to do is keep your head up, and that keeps you focused. So it's a bit like having your laptop down low. That's a bad idea for work. So you've got to have it up.
Yeah.
And then once you've got that, you have kind of signposts. So you say, right, okay, I've got this person or this like building or something, and you kind of like focus on that, and then you focus on the next one, and you go to the next one. And then
whilst competing with people running next to you and going past you back and forth, there's all of that going on as well.
Yeah, and then you've got. So it was interesting what you said before. To distract your mind, you need to have that music. But what a lot of people do is don't have music and have like their breathing or the sound of the feet, and they kind of focus on those rhythms basically, and it's like. That gets you in the kind of zone. So a lot of coaches are kind of saying, don't do it with music, because the music then becomes a crutch that you can't do it without that. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
And do that from day one. I guess that's how they train them, right? From day one, we're going to start with training and no music, or is it? How does that work?
Well, it really depends. If you go with a coach and you've been listening to music for a few years. You might have some kind of conflict there. Yeah. So you got to phase it out. So you might do short distances.
Right.
So it's quite. It's not for everybody because it's quite difficult to do. And the music gets you pumped at some point.
Yeah, it seems like the adrenaline sports, the action sports, they tend to be more accepting of having music and almost recommend it. It's part of who you are as an athlete, because they'll ask you at the end of the interview, what are you listening to? What motivates you? Whereas then you'll speak to an F1 driver, they're listening to their race engineer, and that's it. And the sound of the engine, the sound, they're listening to all the elements around them. A tennis player would probably listen to the sound of the ball. In fact, I know that for a fact. I think it was, it might even have been Emma Raducanu or someone like that. It's like, what is it you listen to? It's like, I listen to the sound of the ball, and I know when it's been a good hit, and I know that like the position on the racket and things like that. They're listening for those things, and they know when it's been a good shot. I suppose you can relate that to runners, like the sound of your feet on the ground or something like that, maybe.
Oh, totally. So one thing that tennis players do, Chris, is the same method that you've used when you're approaching the kicker. Is they'll have some kind of program to say, okay, foot, racket, seams. So they focus on the seams of the ball. So they'll go foot, racket, seams, and the ball will go over the net. And when it comes back, they'll go foot, racket, seams. So they'll be listening and watching for those things. So it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But yeah, I'm very much, I need the music. You're very much, it sounds like you need the music in stages. I might try it. Well, I suppose I kind of do that in a way. More if I'm fatigued, the music will get higher. Just gives me that extra boost. But I wouldn't say I have it in stages like you do. But that's really interesting that you've got that approach.
Well, there's that, Chris. And the thing about no music is you're not creating perfect conditions for you to do something. In fact, you're taking away all of the conditions. So it might be temperature, it might be time of day, it might be this music. So when you take all of those things away, can you still perform? And that's the idea of removing music and removing those other conditions. It's like, well, I only do snowboarding after 4 o'clock. Or I only go on a Sunday because I'm not working. Well, it's right, okay. What happens if you go? You're still doing the same act. You're still doing the same trick. But what's the difference?
Yeah.
And the difference normally is only in the mind. You're telling yourself that I need this and I need this to perform correctly.
Yeah.
Some coaches say that you should take all those things away and still be able to perform. It's quite,
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, these pro athletes, to go to all these different venues, all the kickers are going to be slightly different. The rail approaches, the takeoffs, it's going to be, you're going to have to adapt. And I think that puts aside the elites from the less ones. The ability to adapt, and different snow as well. Different countries, the snow for
all
completely different. Yeah. So it's. But if you get
the time of the event, the temperature, it could be like lots of different things.
There's like night shows, there's like early morning ones, there's fog, there's cloud cover, it's still snowing, that slows things down, there's poor visibility, it's sunny. There's so many different elements with that kind of sport. So
you've got to be able to perform without creating the perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Because that then becomes a crutch. It's like, I only do this then, and I only do it with this music and then that. You know what I mean? It's quite interesting that.
Yeah, I'm just going to write down crutch, because that's been quite a common discussion today, that you can use that as too much. That's really interesting, that.
But you create a kind of psychological dependency on that crutch. It's like, my phone's gone dead, so I can't listen to music. Well, okay, you've now created a dependency on that.
Yeah.
You should be able to do it without that, and that's a kind of true test of your kind of mental strength and your technique, basically.
Maybe I should try that one. I'll try that one week and let you know how it goes, and if the word crutch comes into our conversation, I'll blame you.
No,
why are you limping there? Well, I have a crutch here. The music idea did not go well.
It's funny, isn't it? So, like, if you say, for example, next week you only listen to the Beatles, is that going to make a big difference?
Oh, huge!
Because you're performing the same act. Your body's doing the same thing. It's just that you've changed the conditions. You should still be able to do it.
Well, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It probably wouldn't fire me up as much. But I mean, I'd say there are some tunes that I could probably get away with. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. Like the early Beatles. The early Beatles were actually a lot heavier than the later ones. They went a bit more mainstream, a bit more creative. But the early Beatles was actually... it was quite heavy. But no, I'm not. I can guarantee I will not be listening to this anytime soon when I'm snowboarding. I think that'll be quite a hindrance. But no, it is definitely an interesting topic. That.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, you should try it. Yeah, a lot of people say, take away all of your favorite conditions and then trying to do the same thing. You should be able to do it.
Are you the same athlete? Are you the same at what you're doing? How does it affect you? Yeah, it'd be interesting. That I think we could experiment with that.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say I wanted to bring up something that I've had a lot of conversations about it this week, Chris, and it started with a post that was kind of misunderstood by a lot of people, but it created a lot of interesting conversations.
I think I know which one you mean. I think I know which one you mean.
And it was about this kind of like, you get to kind of middle age, you get a little bit older, and you start getting responsibilities, and things kind of change with your body, and you've got work commitments and stuff. And the idea was that, you probably have to reconsider what you're going to do on the slopes as you get older. You're probably not going to take as many risks and things like that. I just wanted to get your perspective on how have things changed with you.
Well, let's put it this way. I first started snowboarding. I think it was round about when Escape opened, which is about 2002, 2003, something like that. And obviously it's 20 years ago. So I've been snowboarding 20 years. I was 22, 23 round about that time. So, but I was just snowboarding. I wasn't particularly doing anything freestyle. I maybe just jumped off a little thing here and there, but nothing to the extent of what I'm doing now. But it took a pandemic for me to sort of wake up a little bit and think snowboarding just isn't fun. It's not as fun as it could be. It's like all I'm doing is I'm going to these resorts around the world, going to the top of the mountain, snowboarding down, and then going back up again. And you can go to so many resorts around the world, but it's just I just lost the interest, the appeal a little bit. But as soon as I introduced freestyle into my life, that just changed everything. And I was 40, maybe 41, something like that. And I would never look back. I would never have thought that at that age I'd be starting to do these dangerous things. You can break things. I've seen people break things. I've torn muscles. I've pulled this and that. It is dangerous. It's a dangerous sport. But why does being 40, 41, whatever it was, why should that have a bearing on doing such a dangerous sport? For me, it doesn't. It comes down to, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? What are you going to get out of it? I'm quite an adrenaline junkie. Always have been in some description. When I was quite young, I started doing martial arts and little things like that. I don't think I did particularly much in my teens. There's not an awful lot going around that time, but afterwards it's like getting into snowboarding, getting into power kiting, and that for me is one of the most violent sports in the world, because you're battling with the wind, which is quite unpredictable and it's dangerous. Snowboarding freestyle is dangerous. You're jumping onto metal rails, you're jumping in the air, you're flying all over the place. But being 40, that hasn't changed anything. That hasn't had a bearing on why I wanted to do it. But for some people it could. Some people it could.
Sure.
You've got a 9 to 5, you've got a kid or two, whatever. Last thing you want to be doing is breaking something so you can't pay the bills, or you can't look after your kids, or your wife depends on you. You got disabled people in your family that depend on you. Whatever it is, everyone walks a different path and has different things going on in life. But why would doing freestyle at this age have a bearing on those decisions? It comes down to the person. What do you want to get out of it? What are the dangers? What could go wrong? I particularly don't focus on the bad stuff. I just deal with it when it happens.
Sure.
I'm very.
Did you see any? Did you see any of your crew? Did any of those change, or did any of those get more committed or less committed, or change? I think you get peaks and troughs with people. Sometimes you see people and they're so on it. They're doing all these rails and good 360s. Next time you see them, they're a little bit laid back or just cruising around and not really committing. And you just ask, what's going on? You all right? And say, just not feeling it today. Just not in the mood, just not quite there. So that's interesting, that some outside element or something isn't getting them to where they were a few weeks ago. And again, this comes back to my routine. I'm always at the same place because my routine gets me there. Sure.
Yeah, all right, the park may be different and it might not be the park that I was expecting. That's just different. You just have to deal with that. And it became weird this week, obviously. But I was still at the level of commitment that I have been every other week before that, because my routine is the same every week. I see old guys there. Now, they're probably going to punch me for saying that. But, they're in retirement age. They're snowboarding. They're doing jumps. I've seen some of them do 180s. They're doing some good tricks. And probably at that age, they're thinking, I probably shouldn't be flying up here because something could break, or I could dislodge something. I suppose, you probably got to consider that, or like me, deal with it when it happens. I don't know. Sure. It's an interesting conversation. It comes down to the person, I think. I wouldn't say that age should be a factor, and people should say, I'm very much an advocate of age as a number, and don't let that put you off. How many more years have you got? Don't let that. Just try it. Just try it. See what your limits are. See if you can push the limits a little bit. See if you can take the piss a little bit with that, and then work with that. But
yeah, sure. It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you take something like, I worked in football for a long time. If you take something like football, you get some coaches and some managers that don't sign players once they've had children.
That's weird.
Because they don't have the same level of commitment, and they don't take risks, and they don't put their body on the line.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Nicky Lauda was exactly the same. He was exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit glorified in the film Rush, which obviously was Chris Hemsworth and...
it's a great film, actually.
Brilliant. There's a lot of Hollywood in there, so I think Nicky Lauda did say it's about 20% real, but I think he said that particular story was more accurate because, he was like single and free and wild, and then as soon as he got married, it's like, now I've got something to lose, or someone in my life's got something to lose. So it would change your mentality. But should it?
Yeah, totally.
Should it?
Well,
change
should it? Yeah, should it or should it not? So that was the kind of idea around the post. Yeah. And just to repeat, that happens quite a lot in football. It's like, I've got this 25-year-old here with no kids who's going to put his body on the line and take risks. Yeah. And then I've got this 31-year-old here. He's got kids. He's got a family. He wants to spend time with them. Yeah. He's not going to commit himself 100% to every single game because he doesn't want to get injured. So you've got this. Yeah, it's quite interesting
this puts the best managers in the world in their place because that is management to the most accurate way, because they're dealing with all of these outside elements and picking the right player for the right situation and adding in all these elements that could affect how they play. So absolutely with that one.
And it's an interesting idea, isn't it? So you can say, right, okay, this guy's getting a bit old and he's got 4 kids and he's thinking about maybe going to USA or something like that. So it's not worth it. Yeah. How did it? I mean, what would have been different if you'd have been freestyling all that time ago, Chris? Why did you just suddenly decide to freestyle? Sorry, that was a bad question.
I think lockdown had a big part to do with that. I got inspired by one of our British Olympians, Jamie Nichols. He built a ramp in his backyard during lockdown, just loads of pallets, a board, some AstroTurf, and away you go. Built some rails. So basically what he's doing, he's jumping on his ramp, sometimes off his shed to get a bit more speed, and then jumping onto a rail, or doing a little kicker in his garden as well that he built. But that project kind of inspired me, and I thought, right, okay, this is gonna, I can do that. I can build that in my garden. Did it, and I started. Oh, okay, I can do this now, and that's the hook. It's like, okay, I can do one trick. What else can we do? And then it starts building up. So once you've nailed a trick, it's like it's feeding you. It's feeding you little things to get you hooked into it a little bit more. It's that's definitely what it. But 20 years ago, I wanted to get into freestyle. I don't think I was around the right people for it, or had the right coaching, or in the right environments. I think that has a big part as well. My girlfriend at the time, she wasn't really into freestyle, more just into the snowboarding. And then the people that we went with just kind of be bezzing around, just doing this and that, or trying, to get down the mountain without breaking anything. I mean, back then we didn't even wear helmets. How times have changed.
Yeah, man, this is interesting though, because it goes back to, we've been back to it kind of 2 or 3 times in this episode. But that kind of learning, challenge, and fun. If you're not aware of that balance, then you're going to waste a lot of time, aren't you? You've said a really cool point there about you weren't hanging around with the right people. So you go with these people every week, and it's great fun. Yeah. But you've got 3 years of not learning anything or not trying something. Yeah. And you've kind of missed an opportunity there. And I think it's really, really important to get that balance, is to say, right, okay, I'm missing the learning element here. I've not learned any new tricks for the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I need to put some focus on that. It's really good. It's really good to be aware of that. Definitely.
Yeah. It does help. And when Escape reopened, that's the resort in Yorkshire. When that reopened in the first.
Hang on a minute. There's a resort in Yorkshire.
No, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah, actually, there used to be. There used to be an outdoor slope in Sheffield.
Don't go together.
It's all we have, man. It's all we have. I mean,
I'm thinking cocktails.
Yeah. No, that was a little bit. That was a little bit over egging it, wasn't it? It's really not a resort at all. I mean, to be honest, there's an alpine kitchen. And then there's
wait a minute, kitchen.
An alpine kitchen. There's a hotel right nearby. There's a slope. What more could you want, man? There's even, it's about.
I've not been back to England for like a long time, and Yorkshire. I see Yorkshire now in a totally different way.
Do you know what? There are so many places in Yorkshire that could actually have a resort, but it would just never snow there. It's just at the wrong height, wrong altitude. But there are some really decent runs, some good mountainous ranges. Oh yeah,
with the Pennines and that.
Yeah, there is one in Rays in the Lake Districts, but it's so sketchy to get to. It's like an hour's walk, and it's always blowing a gale. It's just a nightmare. The one that I have been in, County Durham, that's all right. Bit of a sketchy road to actually get to the resort, and that. I mean, it is. They've got 2 lifts. It's outdoors. It's a proper resort, but it's just you may have 5 days a year where it actually snows.
Right, okay.
So that's the problem. It's in a fell, so it catches a lot of the snow if the wind direction's right, and that's the reason it's worked so well. But yeah, no, they've had some fantastic years of skiing. It's more of a ski place really, but you do get the occasional snowboard in there. But they don't do anything. They don't put any features out, rails or jumps out or anything. It's all completely natural terrain, and they don't even get the Peace Basher on there. That's the big machine that flattens the snow. It's literally just as natural as it can be. But it's just for the diehards really. It's a bit of a community up there. But yeah, go back.
Go back. Yeah, go on.
Going back to the resort in Yorkshire. It's I can't even remember what we've gone on so many different tangents over that last few minutes. What were we talking about with the resort? Which isn't.
We were talking about with the resort. We were talking about the freestyle. Then there was like COVID.
Okay,
and then
yeah. So
Escape Open
when it reopened, when our massive resort in Yorkshire reopened, it was. I met these people for the first time, all wearing face masks. I had no idea what half of them looked like because it's eyes only. That's all you saw of these people. So you had no idea. But you were like, even then, helping each other out, giving each other tips. And that's how, we've built up a crew, built up like every week we see the same people. And it's like we help each other out. And I don't think that would have happened like 30 years ago, 20 years ago when I first started, because I wasn't part of that community. It's a different group of people back then, and you need to be regulars. You need to go. It is a very expensive sport. I had my first job 20 years ago, and it wasn't high paid or anything. So you've got to add that into the equation as well. It's like if you're wanting to do snowboarding every week, it's 20-30 quid just for snowboarding for a couple of hours or whatever it was. So yeah, it was expensive back then as well. But
how important is that, Chris, as a like an observation? Is like, we're talking about being aware of what you're doing and your kind of plan for the session, but also to be aware of who you're going with.
That
if you're going with the same crowd.
That doesn't have too much of a bearing on me because, as I mentioned last week, I'm quite individual. I mean, I travel all over the world on my own. I just prefer that. That's just me. I like to go do my own thing, get up when I want, go to bed when I want, do my own thing. I want to go on this one, do that one. I've been snowboarding with other people and we come to an agreement, let's do this and this and that, but might not be the ones that I want to do. Whereas if you go on your own, you don't have to compete with that. That's my preference. But going each week and seeing some familiar faces, it's cool because we can have some conversations, catch up, how was your week and all of that, and what you're working on this week, and give each other advice. But if they're not there the next week, it doesn't matter. There's always someone else. There's someone else there as well. But I
was thinking from an inspirational point of view or from an ideas point of view. If you go to Castleford and you've got a crew there, and then you go to Manchester and you've got different people there.
Yeah.
You've got 2 different groups.
Yes.
So you might get inspired to do something here.
Yeah.
And you might get inspired to do something in Castleford.
Yeah, I do feel I ride a little bit different. Especially at Tamworth, I find. I mean, with Tamworth, it's smaller, different snow, but they're very good at rails in Tamworth because that's pretty much all they have. They don't particularly do kickers like they do at Jill Thatcher in Manchester or in Yorkshire. They have a jump out now and again. It's not massive. It's not a great one. So it's all rails there. So they have a different kind of riding style, and that I've noticed that when I go, it's I tend to ride rails a little bit different and like watching around and seeing how people do things. So you definitely feed off your surroundings, I would say. But
I think that's an important element. I think that's an important element. You know, going right back to the start about that kind of weird night. If you're in a different environment and it's a weird night, you can see different people doing different things, kind of. So, these guys are trying this.
Yeah,
I think that's quite an important element.
Yeah, again, consistency is really important, I find. But that's down to like the elements that I have control over. But I can't control how the part's going to be, how the snow's going to be, who's going to be there, you know, who I'm going to be talking to, what conversations. They're just like elements you have to adapt to, or elements that are just part of snowboarding and going to a freestyle night. You know, it's just part of it. I like it. I like that. I like the distraction. I can get quite stuck into doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So it's good to break away and have a chat with someone and just, you know, what you're working on and give some tips or take some advice or whatever it is. It's it's very inclusive. I think it's very inclusive.
Nice one. Nice. What's the
sack the juggler. Sack the juggler. What are we trying?
That's my pen. Juggling with my pen. What's the plan for this week, Chris?
Again, I want to get 540s. So I need a good kicker for that. Last week, not the week that's just gone, the week before that, they were very close, very close. I just ran out of energy to get it fully round to finish the 540, but it was very close. So that for me is my next goal, and I will be working towards that. 50-50s on rails are good, happy. You know, just need to be a little bit more consistent every time. You know, even the weird night on Thursday, I wasn't completing the rail every time. So that's just keep on with that. Just keep that consistent. Get some more board slides back, I think. But I think the main thing for me is trying to get the 540s. Try and get them as best as they can be. And then naturally it will just come. Because the backside 360 and the front side 360 have come naturally just from working on them so much. Yeah, just consistency is key. So I'd definitely say the 540 is like the next big aim.
Wait, are you going on Thursday again?
Yeah.
Are you going Thursday, Saturday?
Yeah.
And Saturday?
Hopefully. Yeah, it depends if there's some decent features out. They only do a small number on Saturday. Just whatever's left over from the previous couple of nights. So if there's something good out, I'll do that. What about yourself? Are you doing more training this week?
Yeah, I got a bit. Well, I've got. I think I've probably got one last kind of big run, training run to do. So probably about 32 kilometers, something like that. I need to get over 30 kilometers.
Yeah, because you'll need to push past that on the big day, won't you?
Well, yeah, but I don't want to go over that because I just kind of like gas myself. So I just need to. I probably got one more big training run, and then the rest is just going to be small, kind of maybe 16 kilometer runs, just to kind of keep my pace consistent. So yeah, I'm probably going to be a bit focused on that.
I look forward to hearing how you got on with that. That'd be good, man. Keep me posted throughout the week.
Yeah, when I start, 3 months going to be a long time, and then now it's like kind of two, 3 weekends away. It's like, we're almost there now.
It's getting close. Do you think you'll continue after, or is this a short-term goal? You just want to achieve it, or is it you want to do running more and more now?
Yeah, good question, Chris. Actually, I actually really enjoy.
Okay, let me throw this at you. Why are you doing this marathon? What is it you're doing it for? Have you got is it like a life goal, or is it you want to achieve something, or what is it you're getting out of doing this?
Well, I did like a little bit of running, kind of 2-3 times a week. Anyway, nothing as long as this, and then. Just having my daughter around, and she's got some ideas, and she wants to do. She's got some kind of dreams and ideas, and I thought, well, I want her to see me doing something that starts with an idea or a dream, and then you kind of practice or do something, and then you get the kind of end goal. So that was the idea, because I do my training runs when she's here.
Got it.
So that started to inspire me then. So I start from, I'm going to do this. I've got an idea, and then I train and practice. A lot of mistakes, a lot of problems. And then you kind of do the thing at the end. So it started with that. And then, I've thought about what happens after that. I don't know I'm quite addicted to running. So
that's good.
Addicted to the challenge. So do I go along a distance? Do I try to improve my time? Do I stay at the marathon distance? I don't know, to be honest. I need to see what happens after the first one.
This one. See how hard that wall is that you hit, and how much you can break through it.
I might just buy a motorbike, to be honest.
Just have someone halfway up there. How are you getting on? Right, do you need the bike yet? They usually give people water out, but no, it's the flag that says bike now.
Give me that bike. Let me get on the back.
You'll be fine, man. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I quite enjoyed all of that. The fear and the uncertainty and the doubt, and then seeing the progress. And 1 minute you're running 4 kilometers, next thing you're doing 25, 32, 33, and it's it's good, man. It's nice. It's good.
Very good. Oh, it's nice, man. Let's wrap it up there.
Cool.
I think we've covered a lot here. I'll put some in the session notes, and hopefully we'll have a bit more to cover next week. We're looking for some guests. We're looking for more people to bring to the table. So if there's anyone listening to this podcast that has covered, come across any issues, some hurdles, some challenges, struggling to get over something, doesn't have to be snowboarding, it could be other sports, would love to hear from you. Get in touch. We'll have a chat. We'll just see, how we can help you out. But we'd love to hear from you. Leave some comments.
Definitely.
Like and subscribe, all that good business. And my daughter's just arrived. Just as we're ending. Hi, Autumn.
Nice.
And we shall leave it there.
Oh, she's missed it.
No, she's missed the whole show. But that's okay. This is going to be available after the show anyway. But thank you everyone for joining us. We will be here again very soon. Like and subscribe, and then you'll get notified as soon as we have a new podcast ready. Thank you from me, and
cheers from me. Cheers, Chris.
And we'll speak
again.
to you.
Great.
It's been cool, man. You take care. Have a great week. Have a great week all, and catch you soon. Bye.
See you later, everyone. Bye.